And welcome in, Justin. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I've had an interesting week dealing with some house issues, but we'll live. Life goes on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm dealing with a little stuff as well, a little sickness going on, and my stupid studio's real cold. So I feel your pain. It's just one of those for the Lakewood boys, unbeknownst to you all. Yaya too. We're all living out in Lakewood, so there you go. How's it out in Ramland? You getting hyped for some basketball season here?
Yeah, I'm excited. Right around the corner, they got an exhibition coming up, and the first game's on the 7th, so that'll be here before we know it. I'll
Boom.
try and get out to practice between now and then. It's going to be a crazy time just with the overlap of football and basketball for a couple of weeks, but it's what we love. Lots of college action. It's a fun time in general. I think there's like a football game every day for the next 27 days or something like that. I mean, it's tough to beat.
Very good. Yes, football month in America commences today, I believe, and then
Yeah.
it's nonstop. Bless the Mac for really doing the heavy lifting here on Mondays and Tuesdays. Well, Tuesdays and Wednesdays is more like it. That's going to be really fun. Hype for that. Um, I don't know if I'm hyped for this Broncos game, but at least we get it out the way. And I'm hyped to have you on the show the next couple days with us while RK is in London. And you always give us the lowdown on stuff, Justin. You've built a record, and I know it hasn't been the greatest college football season of betting for you, regardless. But yet, when you're on bets, you pull out the best in you.
It's been, I mean, I've had some moments. It's just been a weird year in general. I feel like with college football and some of these outcomes, you've seen really high variance with teams that I think are fairly talented, and you've seen some pretty confusing results in general, but that's kind of what makes college football fun in
Hmm.
general, is just the absurdity of it. It's tough when you come out on the wrong end, but it makes it that much sweeter when you win, some crazy ones. And I was probably due. I got lucky with like Jake Hayner pulling a bunch of games out for me last year and winning some dumb
Mm.
ones that way. So the natural balance of things, it tends to, even out over time.
It's important to have that mentality. I will say, just when we thought, oh God, the playoffs have ruined the balance with college football and this, that, and the other, that it feels like we've turned up the
It's the
parity
most wide
just a
open
smidge.
it's been in the
Hmm.
college football playoff era. I mean, at least
Yeah.
we're about to get the first ranking on November 1st, I believe, and like you probably have 8, 9, 10 teams that are all realistically
Hmm.
like in the thick of it,
Yep.
depending on how these things play out, and
Yep.
that's cool. I mean, there's really no guarantees at this point.
Multiple scenarios where I think one conference could get multiple teams in.
Mhm.
It's been a minute since it's felt this wide open. Maybe we're like seeing the end of Oklahoma and Clemson, who we really thought, I mean, the end, but like as those like set and forget playoff teams every year. I'm hyped. I'm hyped to get into the weekend picks with you tomorrow. Tonight, a little more Thursday night football, and then I'm really excited to talk some college football futures with you. So let's get into it. Yeah. Start us off with J Mike's big three here. I'm excited to see what our guy has today.
All right, we're gonna focus NFL here in a minute, but we do have Utah at Washington State tonight, which is a really fun college football matchup. Utah, the line keeps moving up. When I did my notes, it was Utah -7. The last I checked, it was -7.5. The fact that it's going up
Mm,
makes me nervous. I took the
yeah.
money line anyways, just because I felt like 7 was a lot to cover. Washington State's covered at home 7 straight times in October. They're one of those teams that gets stronger as the year goes on. They have legit talent defensively, and I like Cam Ward a lot, but I just think Utah's too talented for them. So I do think they win. The spread makes me a little bit hesitant, and so I know you don't have a ton of juice there, but maybe you parlay it with the over because Utah's actually been scoring a lot of points, and Washington State can put some points on the board as well.
Sounds like
Th-
you want to middle this.
yeah, I think you do.
That's spicy. Okay, keep it going. Keep it going.
Then we're gonna go to the NBA, and I'm rocking with my guy David Roddy wearing his jersey right now. Memphis at Sacktown. The Kings are terrible at home, and one of the things I'm going here with these picks is just fading teams that have no home court advantage. The Kings don't, neither do Brooklyn, so I'm betting against both of them. The Kings have lost 7 straight at home. Memphis is really talented, and I feel like they kind of pulled a game out of their butt on Monday night against Brooklyn where they really didn't play that well, but they can just score a ton of points in a hurry, and I don't see Sacramento keeping up with them. Finally, we've got the Mavs going to Brooklyn. The Nets have lost 10 of their last 11 on the second leg of a back-to-back. They lost last night. This is their third game in 4 days. They lost Monday as well. They're a turbulent team. I mean, you've got all the issues with Ben Simmons and Steve Nash got ejected. I mean, if Steve Nash is going crazy, that shows the state of your locker room.
It's a great
and so
point.
I just think it's a terrible situation in Brooklyn altogether, and I'm going to keep fading them over and over again.
Love that. Okay, interesting. I was just thinking, I'm so old, I can remember when the Kings had a really good home court advantage with Mike Bibby and Vlade and Chris Webber. They do the Mississippi State thing with the cowbells.
It's
don't
just
see that
been
anymore.
20 long years, you know.
Yeah.
It's a tough spot.
Yeah, it's really rough. I'm intrigued. I was going to scold you for giving out that Utah money line and no juice. Even the money lines moved to 275. So it's everything's going in that Utah direction, which really is interesting. And then but you kind of offered that up as a middle, so now I can't scold you. I'm actually really intrigued by that. I think you could even parlay that together if you were a true sicko.
I think there's a way to make it work for you. I don't know, man. It's one of those where I think Washington State's going to hang around, but it also wouldn't shock me if Utah ends up kind of beating them pretty good. I think Utah's figured out some of their issues. I still think they're the best team in the Pac-12, and we'll get to that later. But
yeah, we will get to that later. How do you feel about the over? I almost put the over in my big three. 56
I like the over
and a
a lot.
half. Crazy enough,
Utah's
Utah's the high scoring team.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I like the over, and not because of what you would think. I think it's because Utah can probably, score 30 plus 40 tonight. And I think Washington State is good enough, especially in their own building, to move the ball a little bit. They don't have a ton of talent at the skill positions, but I like Cam Ward. They have a good home field advantage. It's gonna be, rocking under the lights. So I think it's just gonna be a fun game. A lot of points. I could see Utah pulling away early, but I'm a little bit worried with the back door, especially in Pullman.
Yeah, in
And we
Pullman
can keep going up.
on a Thursday late night. Yeesh. So Utah money line over 56 and a half. Washington State, buy it up plus 10 and a half, plus 400. You little SGP there. We'll call it football SGP. Let's go to my big three. Yeah. I too have a line that's been moving a ton. When I first put this down on the sheet, it was 281 and a half. Then it moved to 284 and a half, which is the Tom Brady over passing yards that I have down. Now that's moved down a smidge to 283 and a half. So it'll be interesting to see what this number finally settles in at. But Ravens, top 10 worst pass defense in the NFL. Secondary has just been atrocious this season. And Tom Brady, after week 2, has been throwing up a lot of yards, and that trend has actually continued to where he's gone over this number 3 of the last 4 games he's played. I also feel like it's a bit of a desperate game for Tampa, especially. That's why they're favorite. It's one of those classic NFL lines where it's like, oh shit, I thought the Ravens might be favored here because Tampa's looked terrible, but actually on a short week at home, it's Tampa who's favored. Ravens, they're 4-3 every week they've won. They followed that up with a loss. So it just kind of seems in the stars. I'm not going to mess too much with the spread right now, but we will give out Tom Brady over passing yards. That feels nice and safe here. And then give me the under, primetime unders, 46 in a game that the Buccaneers are in. Just seems way too high, especially since that defense is really good and I think can contain Lamar just a little bit, or at least that run game. The passing game has been a bit of a mixed bag. And then I want to hear some of your takes on Thursday Night Football, but we're going to close it out with the Kraken money line taking on the lowly Vancouver Canucks. And that's at home for that matter. So you're getting really nice value. It's a Martin Jones game. The book somehow still hasn't picked up the fact that with their backup goalie, the Kraken, way better than with their starter. It's why I screwed up when I gave out the Avs against the Kraken. I didn't realize that was a Martin Jones game. The site I go to told me it was a Grubauer game. Had I known that, I would have hammered the Kraken. But the Kraken with their backup, always good. I think they're going with him on back-to-back nights. So even they're picking up on that. While the book has yet to pick up on that. Hammer the Kraken money line at minus 130. Boost at DraftKings right now. Boosted NHL playoff parlay. Kraken minus 130. You parlay that with the Red Wings to upset the Bruins. Bruins have Swayman, who's kind of the co-starter. He's really struggled. The other co-starter playing really well for them. So you parlay that together. It'll be nice and saucy. I can't tell you the odds right now with the boost because that the bet slips too full. Yeah. But we'll get through that soon enough. Your takes on Thursday night, Justin.
First of all, just real quick, I'm glad you threw out the Red Wings because I almost put the Red Wings money line in my big three because I think you can get it at like plus 200, and I like the odds quite a bit there in that matchup. I like Mike Evans over receiving yards coming off of a tough game. He had that drop. It's set at over under 66.5. According to our friends here at DraftKings Sportsbook, Mike Evans has gone over 81 yards in each of his last 5 home games. So you're getting,
not bad,
quite a bit of wiggle room there, assuming he goes even, remotely within what he typically does at home. That hits. It's, playing in line with Tom Brady throwing for a lot of yards tonight. We took the over there. If he is moving the ball, I imagine Mike Evans is having a pretty good game. So I like the Evans over there, just kind of keeping on that line of thinking.
Love that one as well. Any more takes on this game? The spread, how you see it playing out?
I like the under as well. Baltimore's offense has just been so inconsistent, and Tampa's talent in that front seven, I think, unless Lamar just goes crazy, I guess, and is able to improvise a bunch, but I feel like Tampa's going to keep him contained.
Right.
That said, man, as bad as Tampa's been, I have a hard time like really putting any faith in that team right now. And not that I have any confidence in Baltimore. It just feels, I don't know, feels like a not fun experience to back them.
It follows the bet uncomfortable mantra that we've had all NFL season this year, where Tampa feels like such a bad side. You just believe in more of what you've seen from the Ravens to kind of be like, hey, yeah, cool. And usually the NFL will get you on those kind of lines. So it's one of those where my stupid human brain likes the Ravens for sure. And as a bettor, I kind of think Tampa feels like the smart play. Tampa and the under, especially. All that.
Would you take the points, or are you just going to do the money line? 2 is so perfectly set on this.
Yeah, 2 is really nicely set. Because if it is Tampa, it's going to be low scoring, and it's going to be really close. Like the blowout side to me feels like the Ravens side, right?
Yeah, that's completely agree. If like Tampa just can't do anything offensively, maybe Baltimore hits on a couple play action shots. That's when the Ravens are dangerous. It's like you think of Baltimore in the run game, but it's actually when they're beating you vertically, like when they came into Denver and just whooped up on the Broncos last year. Like when they can connect on those shots, then you're on your heels and they get the run game going, and then Lamar starts stinking and dunking you. Like, I agree. If Tampa wins, it's tight.
They need big plays. They really need big plays.
It's the only way they move the ball, really.
Yeah.
At least this year.
Yeah. So, I'd sacrifice some juice and just take that Bucks money line. And actually, kind of feels like Bucks parlayed with the under is semi-safe. Like if the Bucks win, it just feels like an unders game. What a mess, man. I latest report too, Giselle saying
Plus 239.
quit or I'll leave you. So craziness. Tom Brady's been an easy fade with all the problems he's had at home.
Why is
Unlike
that back, man? Sorry.
I know it's a
Did he
weird
just roll off
one.
into the sunset? Like, I'm so glad Peyton didn't have this. And I know Peyton wanted to play another season. So maybe it kind of saved him from himself from the fact that he wasn't available. But you hate to see
Yeah.
it, and it ends this way with so many of them. These guys, they just can't give it up. But it seems like they're kind of falling off a cliff here.
Yeah, for sure. It's been just a radical year for old quarterbacks, man.
And I
Like,
mean, it's not even all just Brady. Like we talked about it on the draft pod, but Tampa, they went all in for that, like 2-year window. Essentially, we're out of that 2-year window. Now we're kind of seeing the lack of depth offensively, and they haven't had a ton of draft capital. What they have had, they haven't hit on all of it. Like it's tough spot. You fall quickly.
It's true. You ain't lying. All the lines we're going to get into on the second half of the show, basically giving out two SGPs of the day already, an NHL parlay of the day. Incredible stuff. By the way, that's plus 448. I need to figure out how to get that boost on it. All at DraftKings Sportsbook, the king of sportsbooks. The offers they have right now with every single sport going on are just incredible. Actually, the little app told me, be sure to update me today because you're going to get extra special offers. There are so many different offers available on any given day. You can boost an SGP for the World Series. You can parlay in the NHL. There's a daily boost for the NBA. You get a 25% boost on college football. You get a big old boost on SGPPs or SGPXs, as they call. 100% boost on your SGP for the NFL. It's just like nonstop. And now a new user, you can bet any, because the NBA is back, any NBA money line, $5. And if that hits, you get $200 in free bets. And so, I mean, it's just nutty. I got to figure something out to get Kate back on DraftKings. We got to get this ball rolling right now. Again,
Take advantage, man. Bet on the Mavs tonight. I'm telling you, take that $5, turn it into 200. Just keep fading the Nets.
There you go. Or maybe the Bucks, who a nice uncomfortable bet. Make yourself familiar with betting uncomfortably. It'll change your life forever. All at DraftKings Sportsbook. They are the kings. They are true homies here. And yeah. Can I get that? The disclaimer. There you go. Must be 21 years or old, 21 or older. Colorado, only one per new customer. Minimum $5 deposit and wager $200 issued as 8 $25 free bets. Restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 and see the old show notes for details. We got Ted in here saying Bucks over. That's how Jake was feeling yesterday. He was bullish on the over, and it's the reverse. It's Lamar's gonna go off, and the Ravens defense sucks so much that both defenses will go.
It could. I mean, like we talked about, Brady's thrown for a lot of yards. Their offense could be due for a bounce back at home. I mean, the Ravens are so wonky too. You just don't even know what to expect with them.
It just feels like every time they win, they're just going to lose the next one.
And they'll probably be up in the fourth quarter before they lose it.
Yes. They always have a chance to close a game out with like the second to last drive. And inevitably, that's one of their worst offensive drives of the entire game. It's nuts. Couple weeks ago, Lamar threw that insane interception. So, I mean, it's just been a blast. But let's go to the old dilemma of the day. Yeah. And here you go. For our special guest, we have a special dilemma. Does J Mike buy or sell the juiciest college football futures left on the card? We've got a couple intriguing ones. They're all plus value, which, as you'd imagine, with a future, but it's November's around the corner. It's snowing today, guys. So, we know a lot more than we did at preseason.
we're going downhill at this point. Like it's
Exactly.
we're past the halfway point. We're going back to the car if we're hiking.
Damn straight. Absolutely. So let's get to it. Buy or sell these college football futures. Look at that. Beautiful stuff from Yaya in his bag, per usual. And we'll kick it off with the first one, USC to make the college football playoffs at plus 500. So they've got a section in the futures at DraftKings Sportsbook. One's the Natty, one's conference winner, and the other ones, they have regular season wins, and then another one, which is to make the playoffs. There's a lot of intriguing ones. The most intriguing of which I think is USC at plus 500.
I don't know if they have enough left on the schedule to get them there. They've got one linked opponent remaining, and that's the UCLA game. And now, UCLA, after beating Utah, they looked great. Now they go to Oregon and get humbled. And I wonder if we're kind of in that point of the season where the Pac-12 has essentially cannibalized itself and prevented them, I don't know. I mean, I just think with Utah, if Utah can win out going into that Oregon game, if they beat Oregon, they've got a shot to put themselves in the conversation. Oregon, I actually think, is probably the Pac-12's best odds of getting in the playoff at this point, just with the wins that they have. I know that loss to Georgia was ugly, but I do think they're going to benefit that it was week one. As ugly as it was, I think they'll put enough on their resume that like people will be like, well, it was Georgia. Yeah, it was bad. It was week one, but so I guess I'm selling because I just don't see I don't think USC has enough on the schedule to get them there, even with a Pac-12 championship.
Yeah, they need a lot of trouble ahead, and they have to, they have to run the slate and really take care of business against UCLA and a hypothetical other ranked opponent in the Pac-12 championship. Okay, fine. They were heavily bet preseason, so there's a lot of hype. But I'm
They're
with
fun.
you.
They're like one of the most fun teams to watch
really
in college football this year. But
they're very fun. Clemson to not make the college football playoffs. You get this one at plus 140. And I mean, like change just happened at quarterback. I guess I'm just not a believer, even though that talent they have offensively is great. But the yes to make the playoffs is minus 175, which kind of shocked me. I don't see
think it
Clemson
just has
as
to do
that
with the
type of lock.
schedule. They only have one true road game remaining, and it's at Notre Dame, who's just not been good this year. They get to avoid North Carolina. I mean, essentially, I think if you're betting on this, you're betting on them to lose the championship game because I don't foresee them losing. I mean, they do have South Carolina in the finale, but it's at home, and I know South Carolina's coming off of a big win, but it feels fluky to me, and I just don't see it with them quite yet. Yeah, we got to kind of hear from Ted. I don't hate it, but I don't love the odds, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like plus 200, plus 300, I would like it a lot better. I understand why it's at plus 140 because again, I do think they're going to win out here, even with their deficiencies. And maybe Syracuse is a little bit better than we gave them credit for. Quite frankly, like they did blow that game, but I was impressed that they, after giving up the lead, that they didn't just roll over. Sell. I'm gonna sell just because I think they sneak in, and I don't know if North Carolina or Wake Forest has enough to get through them.
Yeah, UNC in a hypothetical ACC finals matchup would be intriguing, but do I believe in UNC? No.
I don't. I think you can get UNC to win the conference at less like plus 500. So Vegas, isn't feeling it either.
That would be the direction to go in, or you wait for that game where you're going to get UNC outright at better than plus 140.
Exactly. So I guess I'm selling this as well, but it's an intriguing one because I do think Clemson is very flawed, but I think they've probably made it through the point of their schedule to where they really need to worry, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, you convinced me. What about Alabama to make the college football playoffs at plus 130 here? Pretty rare to get Bama at plus value at this point in the season?
Oh man, I'm very worried about the secondary because anybody can move the ball on them, and they've
Yeah.
still got some tough games remaining here down the stretch. I do think that they are going to win out as far as the regular season goes, but you obviously need Tennessee to fall to Georgia, and then you need to win the SEC. Whether that's going to happen, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, because 2 losses isn't going to cut it, huh?
I don't think so. I
And
mean, could they?
Georgia's a little up and down, so it's hard to know. But their best is better than anyone. I am convinced of that.
I certainly am too, and that's why with Georgia getting that Tennessee game at home, I think it's intriguing. And then all of a sudden, you're flirting with that possibility of, well, can we get 3 SEC teams in? And I know some people hate that, but I'll say this: I've watched a lot of college football this year. Georgia and Tennessee are the best 2 teams that I've seen, and Bryce Young is the best quarterback in college football. So, if you're talking about teams that should, hypothetically be in the conversation, those are 3 of the teams. I like it. I think Bama's still got a decent shot, and quite frankly, they get the benefit of the doubt, whereas some of these teams don't. If you're the Pac-12 and you need a couple of things to go your way, if you're TCU, even in the Big 12, I don't think you're feeling as confident. Whereas if you're Bama, if you win the SEC championship game, you're gonna be in.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I mean, they have the double trump card, which is Will Anderson and Bryce Young can both take over and wreck a game. And that includes against Georgia.
But they've been really inconsistent, man. The penalties have been concerning. Like the lack of focus more than anything has been very uncharacteristic for a Saban team. They looked great last week, 36 win over Mississippi State, really locked in on both sides of the ball. Maybe that Tennessee game is kind of what this Bama team needs as far as discipline goes. But I don't know, as crazy it is to say, I actually came out more confident about Alabama after that Tennessee game than I was going in.
Crazy.
To go down the way that they did and come back. Most teams lose that game by 40 if you go down multiple scores in that atmosphere.
No, 100%. 100%.
And I blame the coaching more than anything. Like, I don't understand how you don't run the ball there, and why you're going to give them a chance to go down and kick on you? I mean, you haven't stopped them all day. I'm ranting. Buy it. I'm going to buy it just because I think that I like the value. But I'm a Bama guy, so I want that on record. Like there's probably somewhere in my heart where I'm talking myself into that.
I think the value's half decent as well. So there you go.
Plus money, I think it's worth taking. If it was like minus 100 or something, no, stay away from it. You need too many other things to go your way. But at plus money, I like it.
How about this one? UCF to win the American at plus 425 this week, going into their home matchup against Cincinnati. Cincinnati and Tulsa, kind of the teams ahead of them in the American, 1-loss teams versus their 2 losses. UCF a minus 125 favorite.
That was interesting to me because they're 2 weeks removed from throwing 70 on the board, but they just got smacked on the road at East Carolina. They lost earlier in the season to Louisville. So to me, I kind of feel like the 2 times they played quality competition this year, they've gotten punched in the mouth and come up short. I don't love it. I'm going to sell. I just think Cincinnati's still the team. And I think Tulane's got some juice as well. So I still like Cincinnati to win the American.
Damn you, Justin. But I respect it. Let's go to the next one. Michigan to win the Big 10 plus 425. I know everyone is really high on Ohio State. We'll see how they look against Penn State. Huge spread in that one. I'm excited to get into games like that with you tomorrow. But I just don't think, like, once we get to this matchup, even with it being at the shoe, Michigan's not going to be a plus 425 dog.
I was going to say, I don't know if Michigan is actually going to beat Ohio State, but the value on that bet is good enough to take it because Michigan is as good as anybody in the country. They have not skipped a beat defensively. And they're more complete on offense. JJ McCarthy makes them more dynamic. They're more dangerous to beat you, vertically. He's got his great arm, and that running game, they just behind that offensive line, they're a hard stop. And like, I get it. Historically, Michigan is just kind of like the Auburn, Alabama thing. It's like you're kind of banking on like, well, they're gonna get them once every 4 or 5 years or so, and Michigan got them last year. So can they do it 2 years in a row? History says no, but that's not. It's not going to be plus 425 as far as the line goes. So if you believe in Michigan, and I do, why not? Why not flirt with it a little bit? I like that a whole lot better than UCF. It just feels a lot more realistic in terms of it panning out.
Okay, good. Making me feel good about myself because this next one won't, and it's USC to win the Pac-12. We kind of already went over it, but again, with how publicly bet this team is and how talented they are, to me it feels like half decent odds.
It's not impossible because Utah and Oregon are going to play each other. So one of those teams are going to kind of cancel each other out. Let me see. I got to pull up the USC schedule again. I had some notes on it, but I don't know. I don't see how they get through it. They should run the table here.
Yeah. Arizona USC, that spread is outlandish right now in the mid 70s. So that'll be a fun one. And then it's UCLA, Notre Dame, and Pac-12 championship if it comes to that.
I will say Oregon still has to go. They still play Washington, Utah, who they get at home, and then at Oregon State. Playing the best team sandwiched in between a couple of regional rivalry matchups is not an easy way to close the slate. And again, that's why I go back to I still think I like Utah to win the Pac-12, but
I know, and right now the odds have been kind of changing on and off today. And right now it's a time when they're locked. So I couldn't tell you what Utah is, but it's their odds are better than the Ducks. So maybe that's the play. Maybe it's just a hedgeroo on taking Utah. Maybe I get in on USC to make the playoffs. Maybe I just want a USC regular season wins bets. Maybe that's my play. Regular
USC
season.
definitely has the most favorable remaining schedule of all the teams. They have the least amount of games remaining, only one ranked team on the slate. UCLA is scary if you're a USC fan, though, because that defense has many turnovers as they force. It's not like they're exactly getting off the field.
No. And I mean, actually, UCLA might have a little more juice in the pass rush, or at least as much juice,
Just when I bought into UCLA, maybe I think I discredited Oregon too much after that week 1 game and kind of let it seep into my subconscious. And despite the fact that I'd seen some tangible improvements on both sides of the ball, I was just kind of like, yeah, but Bo Nix and the Georgia game, they really are solid. And like just when I bought into UCLA, I mean, they punched in the mouth. That game wasn't even as close as the score indicated it was.
Nope. That was another classic. Like the book was just begging you to bet on the Bruins.
Yeah. And I took that cheese, man, in a heartbeat. And they it was one of those, like, even when I knew it, I imagine it's like if you order like a second In-N-Out cheeseburger in Vegas, like the first one, all right. You're in Vegas, it's all right. But then you're like, I'm a piece of shit. And then you place the order anyways, because you're just like, I got to do it. It's just begging me. That's what I did. And I felt like I do after I eat that second In-N-Out burger. So that's what I deserve.
There you go. No better way to end the show than on that note right there. Best of luck to you all on Thursday night. Fun little slate of NBA and NHL and college football. And we will have Justin back tomorrow, get into all these big college NFL games, the whole shebang, man. So thanks for doing this, J Mike, and we out.
Hell yeah, man. Have fun this weekend.